is election night, baby. Yeah. Welcome to a special 2-hour live edition of Truth Talks. Tonight, my co-host and I bring you real-time coverage of this historic 2024 election. Get ready for insights and analysis you won't see anywhere else. I'm Ryan Cameron. I've been a radio host for decades, taking listeners through topics that resonate with Black America and representing marginalized voices from the streets. While we give you raw, unfiltered talk on pop culture, we also present an unapologetically Black perspective on politics. Now, here I have my lovely co-host and truth avenger, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. So tell them what to expect tonight, Dr.
Listen, Ryan King. Listen, y'all, I'm Dr. Bryant, your favorite doc. I'm a life coach, best-selling author, and you may have seen me on Teen Mom or my many viral videos with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Bree Simone, and many more. However, tonight, we'll be having a bold, uncensored conversation with influential guests and thought leaders like Cicely Gay, board chairman of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, and Pastor Jamal Bryant from the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Here in this state, right here, y'all. Plus, you don't want to miss the controversial views of Dr. Gordon W. Roll Jr. Yep, the head of MAGA Black Georgia. Y'all heard me? Y'all, we going there tonight, y'all. We're going there tonight. What else do we got, Willie?
Dr. B, I appreciate that amazing toss that you just did on election night.
Yeah.
Number one, let's get our energy up. I'm Willie Moore Jr., syndicated radio host, motivational speaker, and minister, and I'm just excited tonight. We'll be hearing candid commentary from voters, both young and old, all night. So we'll be bringing you a very unique, multi-generational Black voice like only Truth Talks can. It's gonna be a real and relevant, but also lots of fun and interactive. So I want to encourage you to literally share this with as many people as possible. Make sure that you tell everybody about this amazing opportunity. We are about to be live for 2 hours, so we need you. When we teach, you tug. If I preach, you pull. I need you to do that. Also, our co-host, Bree Renee, straight from the A, of course, she's an actress and co-host of Black Girl Stuff, is on the ground at Thrive on 101 Marietta Street in downtown Atlanta. What up, Bree?
Hey.
You said, Willie, first of all, I'm the only one making America great again tonight, okay? But I'm out here in these ATL streets downtown in the heart of Atlanta at Thrive Restaurant and Bar. And it's not just me, but I'm having a whole live election watch party with my millennials and Gen Z. How y'all feeling tonight, y'all?
Hey!
So we are lit, we are live, and of course we're gonna be talking to some of them throughout the night to see how they're feeling, if they on pins and needles like the rest of America, if they voted, if they didn't, why and why not, and who they voted for. So we're gonna be checking in with y'all too. I can't wait to tell the truth tonight, y'all.
Hey, shout out to Bree.
Bree, we missed you.
We miss you so much. But listen, we're gonna check in with Bree throughout the night. Of course, she's looking beautiful, and of course, you know, millennials and Gen Zs, they react different. So we're gonna hear them throughout the night. Bree, I'm so thankful that you're there, live and in living color. Indeed.
All right, up next, we're sitting down with with Cicely Gay, so don't go away. We got more True Talks. We live, baby. It's election night.
Y'all, it's election night.
Okay, so listen.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about tonight?
I'm excited. You know, so I predicted, right, that Kamala would take it. Even though y'all heard me sit here and go in on sis, even though sis...
Don't start.
Hold on.
Don't start. It's too late.
Listen,
it's
I already voted. Sis, I like you. I'm just waiting for you to make me love you. And I already voted. And I'm not going to tell you who I voted for, but I'm going to say this. I already said I believe that Kamala's going to get it. Yeah. But if Trump does, what happens? That's the part that has me. I just feel like this is the most craziest, wildest election year I've ever been involved in. I feel like it's just like a gender reveal party. You just don't know who you're gonna get, and then when we get who we get, what does that mean for the country? What does that mean for all of us?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, okay, the greatest among us will be servants. And I'm like, which leader is gonna serve the American people better? I'll be honest with you. I was sitting in that voters booth because, of course, I don't do nothing early. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I was there this morning really early. So surprised that it was nobody at the polls because 90% of that particular county had already early voted. And I sat there and I said, you know what? I got to press this button. And, you know, I was like, man, I just hope that this leadership opportunity that we give whoever becomes president, that they realize the importance. Because it's not really about us. It's about this next generation. As I looked and dropped off my boys this morning and my daughter, I said, wow, what type of America will they grow up in? And the question mark still remains, I don't know, because we don't know who that president's going to be.
Don't know.
Well, unlike y'all two, I am not worried about any of that. I think the line was longer at Chick-fil-A than it was at the voting booth today. So I'm very confident, and I'm going to get more faith in America. I think from all the policies and all the rhetoric and all the hate speech that America is going to show up and show out. And I hope that it's not going to be close. I mean, I know that we saw it happen last time when we thought that 80% of the country thought that, the Clinton lady was going to win, and it was only 1%. And so I don't think we're going to be surprised. I'm really hoping that people are going to understand that this is a very important time, not only, like you said, for us, but for our children as well. So when we come back, we got more. We are live anywhere else. They all about news, but this is all about the real right here on True Talk. We come back. And welcome back to our special 2-hour live coverage of the 2024 election. Let's welcome our first guest, a powerhouse in politics and a leader in communications. She brings over 20 years of philanthropic experience to her position as board chairman of the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation. Give it up for Cicely Gay.
Hey, Cicely.
Come on, sis. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi. Dr. You're beautiful. Thanks for having me.
Of course,
It's such an honor to see you.
You as well. You as well. Do it for the
Listen,
Ryan.
so
What's going on?
really quick question, right? So Donald Trump's first term in office was marked by cultural backlashes like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 years, and the Democratic candidate is a tough-on-crime prosecutor, Kamala Harris, who wants to increase funding for the police. Regardless of the wins, has Donald Trump turned the tide of the culture war?
Oh, we're going in right away.
Are we going right in, sis? You want True Talks, girl. We go right in there.
That's right. I'm not here as a political pundit. I'm here as a Black mama and a leader of a global foundation that's here for Black people. I think obviously any candidate, particularly if they've been in the presidency, is going to change the tide in some way or another. I think what we've seen, though, is that Donald Trump and many people who support him have turned the tide in a way that has created violence and allowed for racism to unveil its nasty head. And so for us, we're about hope and about love. A lot of Black folks think that Black Lives Matter is only about Black death, but that is not who we are now.
Right.
I ask folks to allow us to reintroduce ourselves. It's a new day for the organization, and we're here to operate on behalf of Black people and find love and light wherever that is.
Indeed. Cicely, I got to ask you this. You said, like, re-represent yourself,
Yeah.
like, represent. Throughout these years, there's been so much negative press as it pertains to Black Lives Matter, funding, what they do with the money, the big house in L.A. How does a person of your stature get on that particular board, understanding the narrative that's in the bigger picture of the United States of America?
I mean, I love that Ryan started out by talking about the fact that I have 25 years of philanthropic and nonprofit experience. This is my 4th nonprofit board. Never before have I entered into a space where people told me who I am, what I was, what I believed, and what I was doing until I stepped into Black Lives Matter, before I had an opportunity to have a microphone in my hand, right? And so it's extremely important that people first understand that when Black Lives Matter was started, the name was not copywritten. There were a group of passionate organizers who built this organization because of their work in the streets, in the boardrooms, in the courtrooms, and they were not thinking about building a 501c3 organization, filing taxes, 990s, all the things that I as a nonprofit professional understand, right? And so it was extremely important for us as a new board over the course of the last 2 years to step back and say, wait a minute, we've got to figure out how to ensure that we do what is right on behalf of Black people, for Black people, because we owe it to you all. We owe it to us, right? And so we are the holder of the majority of the assets. All of the money was not spent, it was not wasted. 35 million went right back out the door to other Black Lives Matter chapters and community organizations, but that doesn't make the news, right? So it's extremely important as an organization now, like I said, allow us to reintroduce ourselves. It's a celebration for us, hopefully a celebration tonight, but also an invitation for people to get to really know who Black Lives Matter is, because we're here for the long run.
Now, Cicely, I sit on several boards, and when I've been asked to sit on boards, I have questions. I look at the makeup of the board, I look at the rules and the things they've done in the past. When they came to you and they asked you to sit on the Black Lives Matter board, what were the questions that you put for them to make you say, okay, I'm going to take this seat?
The first was, is the money still there? Was it spent legitimately? Who is running the show?
Great question.
What is the truth about where the resources were gone? I think also, why me, right? There were a group of people who were vetted to be in this space. I went through an entire vetting process, had to tell the truth about the entirety of my life. It's been so difficult in many ways for people to step up in positions of leadership because oftentimes, like politicians, their lives are put on the front lines and under scrutiny. Even the mistakes that they have made, which is mine, professionally and personally, have been outed. But what they told me was that we want you on this board because you have raised 3 black sons in these United States of America without the benefit of a partner. I never say I'm a single mother because there's nothing singular about the people who have undergirded and supported me in my life. It's a community organization and a community that has supported me.
I want to ask you a question. As president of NAACP, we have youth chapters, right?
Yeah, I love that.
And the youth are very involved in everything we do, and we always try to mobilize them to vote because we want to get our youth to be our next leaders who have this huge impact on our community. How does Black Lives Matter get the youth involved? How do y'all mobilize them to not just only vote, right, but to be boots to the floor in your community? How do y'all get them mobilized to do that?
First, we empower Black Lives Matter grassroots chapters who are unaffiliated, and they actually do have organizing opportunities in their communities. We fund them. We are a philanthropic organization. We have a full grant-making process. So it is our job to raise money and then distribute it to organizations who are doing good work. One of our new pillars, we have 6 strategic pillars, is education.
Love it.
I am so proud that last year we actually started what we call a Student Solidarity Fund. We had never partnered with HBCUs in the history of the organization. And so we actually started giving grant money out via cards directly to young people who were struggling for food, housing, clothing, so that they could continue their education. And we're going to continue to do that.
And I think that's amazing. And real quick, Ryan, before I go to you, I just want to say I love that BLM is sitting right here and NAACP is sitting right here, because there is a false narrative that we don't work together, and we do. We have the same agenda. We have the same mission. It is to expand and advance the community. So I just want to say, sis, thank you for what you're doing. We do work together.
We have a lot to learn from you. We have a lot to learn from each other, and we are together.
Well, we got to go out to our young end. You know, Bree Renee is out in the field with the Bree Hive, and of course she's down at Thrive, and I'm sure we're going to see what she has to say because she always has something to say. Bree.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. As you said, I am down here in the heart of the city of Atlanta at Thrive Restaurant and Bar, and I'm lit with my millennials, my Gen Zs, and we turning up. We on pins and needles, too, and y'all talking that talk in the studio. I wish I was there, girl. Y'all holding it down. But I'm here with the beautiful Olivia. She is a Spelman woman, a graduate of Spelman University. So how did you vote this year?
Yes, of course I casted my ballot because it was my priority.
Do you want to say who you voted for?
Yes, I casted my ballot for Kamala Harris. Of course, that is the woman I feel like I resonated most with. I trust her with my country and my opportunity to grow as a Black woman and a daughter of an immigrant.
Okay, I love that. And a lot of people have this misconception that millennials, Gen Zs, we just don't go out and vote, or we don't care about politics. How do you feel about that?
I think that is a terrible misconception. I think it allows us to fall back on our right, our responsibility to take up for not only ourselves, but our future, our education, our rights, our children, our legacy, all the things that has been a fight for people who look like us to gain.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you know, it was a lot of talk, and we even had like a big discussion about it in the studio about Kamala bringing out, you know, Glorilla and Meg Thee Stallion and all these other, you know, popular rappers and pop stars. Do you feel like that helped her gain your vote?
Yes, I do. I think it helped show that she's personable, that other people that are young, that are vibrant, and have built a lot over the past few years, over the pandemic. That was a hard time for everybody. And also being able to have fun while we take this chance and we make history.
Yeah, I love that. Do you, and you don't have to tell me all of them, but are there any specific policies that Kamala stood for or spoke about that resonated with you?
Yes. The first one being for women's rights. Being a woman, being a Black woman, we know that the struggle that a lot of us face is a lot harder for us to gain and have that mobility in economics, as well as being an entrepreneur. I love what Kamala stands for as well with the economic development and opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. And you said you were a daughter of an immigrant. So how do you feel about like all Trump's antics about, you know, immigrants and locking up the border?
I think it's terrible. It really causes us to fear the people that work the hardest in this country, and it allows us to not only just build, but love all.
Yeah, I love that. Now, we keeping it real down here, y'all. I got it. We got some millennials, some Gen Zs. They gonna be checking in with us all throughout the night, and we like breaking those misconceptions that we don't know what we talking about, and we didn't get out there and vote. Cause I got a whole room full of people who went to the polls. Ain't that right, y'all? All right, y'all. Back to y'all in the studio. Thank y'all.
Bree Renee, straight from the A. Everybody say Bree Renee, straight from the A. We love you, Bree. So thankful that we get the opportunity to hear from our Gen Zs and just the opportunity to hear from millennials. There's so much negative press about what they won't do or what they will do, but right here at Truth Talk, we're giving you the empirical data that these young people are voting, and we're excited about it. And shout out to my girl Bree, who is definitely leading the charge. Now, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, right? Berkeley, Missouri to be exact. Actually only 2 miles away from Ferguson. And we've come up on the 10th, it's almost been a decade since Mike Brown's death. I remember walking with so many leaders, and it was such a big light on that. And I've noticed now that there are still young Black African Americans being killed, but now there's not a lot of media coverage and protests. So the question becomes, what happened to our national conversation about police brutality and police reform? I also want to know, how do we rebrand celebrating Black lives more than just mourning Black deaths? You alluded to it initially when we started, but there's just not a lot in the forefront. Why is that the case now?
Yeah, it's deep. So 2 parts to your question. First, we always want to lift up the names and say their names of those who have been lost to state-sanctioned violence. And little do folks know, the Black Lives Matter actually contributed $1 million to Michael O.D. Brown, Love Our Daughters and Sons Foundation, that is run by his mother. So financially, we did contribute to that foundation and that work. I think every time you see Black progress, you see white outlash, you see white outrage. And that doesn't mean that you stop the fight. It's not necessarily our responsibility to manage the media, but where we do have space as content creators, we have to hold folks accountable. So if we're not seeing it in the news, you've got to ask yourself why. You've got to continue to lift our voices, right? And we have to continue to hold people accountable both in the streets and also in the state houses, which is why we're continuing to tell folks that they've got to vote, vote, vote. And I think one of the things that we're doing on the political side, at least in the policy space, I've got to say, and I should have said this first, Black Lives Matter is a 501c3. That means you are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We cannot endorse a candidate. Right. We have been very clear about not endorsing. In fact, we actually came under some criticism for asking for a snap primary and creating a fair democratic process. Although, we want policies in place that are for Black people. But the truth of the matter is, we have been holding all the administrations accountable for things like qualified immunity, where a police officer can go out and do what he wants and have absolutely no accountability for it, right? So maybe you may not see in the news in the same way because there was a groundswell that may not still exist in the way that people think that it should be. You better believe we're still fighting through policy, through education, through research, and through our voices where we are.
Sister, I want to ask you, Willie has, more than one Black son. You have 3, I have 1. My son is 21. He was brought up in an age where he's pretty much Switzerland. He doesn't see any hate. He doesn't see any color. And sometimes I think that's a good or a bad thing. How is it for you as a mother raising 3 Black sons to make sure they understand the messaging, even though it may seem all good, that it all changes once the police get behind you?
Yeah, I got to shout out my Spelman daughter in love and my man of Morehouse, my oldest son, who I actually gave birth to when I was in high school. I got a story. I'm here for a reason, because a lot has been given to me. A lot has been given to me, and I have a lot to give back.
Speak on that.
So I will tell you, when I started to think about even coming here today, the first people I called were my sons. They are my mirror and they are my compass. And when I took on this responsibility of being the board chairwoman, I asked my oldest son, should I do this? And he asked, how can you not? I am a mother. who holds my chest in prayer every time one of them leaves my driveway for fear that they may not return, because someone does not think that their life matters, because someone thinks that they are less than excellent, right? And so when I'm talking to them about what they need to do and who they are and how they need to be engaged, it's a lot of the time about local elections. If it seems too nebulous, because they may feel like they're Switzerland because they've had the benefit of having friends, or they may feel too detached from politics, or it's too wonky or difficult, I talk to them about what happens when somebody stops them on the side of the road and what rights do they have there. Exactly. How are student loans affecting their lives? How are the streets being paved that messed up their rims on their car? I mean, let's break it down. You know, what judges are being put in office? I let them know that all of these decisions affect the everyday life of their lives, and they're now my wife, my oldest son's wife, or their girlfriends, or then their children, you know? And that makes it very clear.
No, totally. And just, I'm not a mother yet, but I'm the oldest of 7. I have 9 nieces and nephews, and I'm the mama auntie, so I get it. You know, I'm very protective. But I want to ask you, despite, you know, Kamala's reputation as a cop, do you think that she would do better at protecting Black rights than Donald Trump, right? How will BML hold her accountable once she's in office? Because that qualified immunity is real. She doesn't talk on that enough. And I gotta say, sis, personally, that's a problem for me. So I would love to hear you know, your take on that. NAACP, we've been fighting for that to be removed, and they ain't trying to hear us at the table too much because that's something they want to hold on to. Trump said he ain't getting rid of it. Right. Do you think Kamala will?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, that's why we're continuing to raise our voices. We don't know. It's part of the reason why we didn't automatically jump to say that we are supporting this nomination, and we want to hold her accountable, just like we've held the Biden administration accountable. It's extremely important. So we have a lot of work to do, certainly, and we can't stop now. You know, anytime we've met with resistance, anytime we've met with challenges, it just says to us that we got to fight a little bit harder, right? I say all the time, if somebody throws a brick with me, I'm just going to use it to build a bigger podium and speak even louder. You know, and that's exactly what we hope that we will continue to do, whether the results of this election are in your favor or not. We got a lot of work to do to hold every elected official accountable on every side. It's 435 seats up at the House of Representatives
and to hold
right
every
now.
leader.
Right, that's
Me
right.
as a leader, you as a leader,
That's right.
and every person who's
That's
in the
right.
community as a leader accountable.
That's right.
We're all leaders in our community. We don't need a title to be a leader.
Amen to that. People often ask when I'm doing these kinds of conversations, is there anything we can't talk about? I said no, because I'm telling the truth.
Hello.
And the truth is easy.
And you tell
right?
the truth where? On Truth
Truth
Talk.
Talk.
That's
And we gotta say
right.
thank you, Cicely, for the time, and we appreciate you coming on to this program. You know, coming up, we got much more. When we return, we talk to the head of MAGA, Black Georgia, about political support among young Black males for Donald Trump. You don't want to miss this when we come back. MAGA. And we are back with our 2-hour live coverage of the election. We got more guests coming up, you know, thanks to Cicely Gay from Black Lives Matter. But, you know, you say, well, it's a seat. Somebody's missing. That's because that's Bree, and she's out in the hood doing good.
On the streets,
What's
y'all.
up, Bree?
Thank y'all for tossing me. You're right. I'm in the hood doing real good. And I'm doing even better because I have here a friend of mine. I'm going to tell y'all, I'm a fan of hers. She is a viral millennial with almost 1 million followers. She's known for her parking lot pimping series where she keep it black, but she keep it brief. My girl, Lene Vani here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for stopping by. Now, her whole platform, she educates us on policies, political, everything that's going on in the political world. So I couldn't wait to talk to her. How are you feeling about this election tonight, girl?
I feel good. I'm excited for something amazing to happen. You know, my nerves are here for sure, but I think it's more because we're on the cusp of a historical moment, not because I fear anything going wrong. So I'm just waiting to see. Some of these states are fluctuating blue and red, and I'm just waiting to see what the end is going to be.
Yeah, I love you went. I reposted one of your videos. I think you posted it last week, and you were breaking down some of Kamala's policies for Black people and especially Black men. Why do you feel like a lot of Black people were thinking Trump had they back more?
I think it's just because, and I mean this with the most respect in the world, a lot of people, not just Black people, just don't know how politics works. the most introduction we get into the intricacies of politics is in 9th grade, and that's in government class. And a lot of us forget that stuff once we leave. Once we walk across that stage, we're done. And so I think when you see someone's name on a check, you can connect something personal, especially when we were in a time of need. But I think the pandemic just allowed us to see a lot of things more clearly. Obama wrote checks. Joe Biden wrote out checks. They just didn't put their name on it, you know. And relief is something that the government is responsible for its citizens. So that's not a Trump thing. And I'm really not sure what the connection is. And I hear most folks say, you know, Donald Trump is somebody who at least says it with his chest. But I can't for the life of me understand where we are and what our brains are thinking to align ourselves with someone who would demean us, who would berate us and debase us publicly. Like, I'm not a fan. Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, tell us some of the reasons why you feel like Kamala is for us.
I think Kamala Harris is reasonable. I think she listens. I think she creates space. I do not think that she's perfect. I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, still have demands of Kamala right now, especially as it pertains. TikTok has made a lot of us global citizens. So we have a lot of demands as far as how the United States is participating in atrocities abroad. And I think that makes sense. But I think that Kamala Harris is our best bet for progress. I think it's our best bet for preserving democracy and allowing us to have a voice and be heard, and to be able to put our foot down and be able to continue to extend our vote. Because I think right now so many people are excited and enthusiastic and involved about voting, and we should be able to continue with that force, not allow it to die, you know, with this particular election.
I love that. And they say a lot about millennials not getting out there and vote, but I know you have a nonprofit that is supporting millennials voting. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think the same people who are saying black men don't vote or that black men don't support black women are saying that millennials don't vote, because we do. I think millennials are the most activated and involved and visible and knowledgeable, I think, about what goes on in the current political stratosphere. And so we are activated, we are engaged, and my nonprofit is to spread that outside of the walls of academia and into neighborhoods so that regular people can be just as involved as we are.
All right, well, we are involved, and we thank you so much for pulling up with us tonight. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you follow my girl and follow her nonprofit. And we're going to go back to y'all in the studio, y'all, where truth is talking.
Thank you, Bree. Y'all on fire over there. We got, man, these young millennials are
doing
on
what they supposed to do.
I love it.
fire, right? They're like inspiring me.
They understood the assignment.
I guess the ones who like the concerts are actually doing the research too. I'm proud of y'all.
7 p.m. Friday.
Now, we get some early election returns, and the numbers aren't all the way in yet. But of course, as the night goes on, we'll have more, and we'll keep you updated as we continue our coverage. And we have in the studio with us right now, we got Dr. Gordon W. Rowe Jr., the co-founder of Black Trump Support Group, and he's in the hot seat. Yeah. So, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Right off, are you anti-Democrat or pro-Trump?
Pro-Trump.
And why is that?
Well, because I believe that Trump came around the right time to present a certain type of personality that we need to bring it back as far as a vigor or type of strength. And I think he is the one that basically gave America a breath of fresh air as far as our foreign policy, as far as the strength of the nation economically. So many themes that he was a part of, allowing us to grow as a nation where we needed to, when we were suffering as far as our image across the board, domestically and globally. So definitely, I like his swagger, I like his style. He's a non-politician.
But he's a reality show star. I mean, of course he's going to have swagger and style. But you said, you started off by saying you like his policy, but he's going on to say that he has a plan. So what is this policy that you were speaking of?
Well, I think more so if you look at what he did when he was office, when his past administration,
right.
It was a success in a lot of different ways. And if you compare it to what is going on now, there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of, in our society, well, particularly with this election and everything that's come up, we've become more polarized. Whereas that when his administration was active, we didn't have any types of conflict going on international. Well, if there was, it wasn't to the point that where it is now.
Mr.
You have escalations going on everywhere.
What the question was, what policy are you standing on? So those people.
Okay, I'm standing on
I want to know
the
what policy it is.
immigration policy, the economic policy, the policy that he has to basically allow our neighbors to be accountable for the domestic, not the domestic
Mr. Rowe,
policy,
here's
but
the
the
thing.
international policy.
I know people who are supporting Trump, and they don't bullcrap me. They say, listen, I need my money. I want to make sure that my children are good. I want to make sure groceries come down.
Right.
But this is what I understand about some of us. We don't know why we do it. And so you're not giving me true facts of why. So I would rather you just keep it 100. I don't see how African-American male can galvanize so many young African-American boys to follow a man who speaks racist rhetoric, who continues to talk down to a people. I'm a father of 3 sons. I wouldn't let a teacher talk that way about my children. Talk that way that is not the example that I want to set. So how is it for you to galvanize African American boys? Like, what were you telling young African American boys to galvanize them to support Donald Trump?
I would probably have a situation where we're talking about rebuilding our structure, rebuilding our character as a people, as a community, as a country. I think that Donald Trump has been constantly caught up in the rhetoric with media and with hearsay. Of course, he's a type of person that has a very colorful background, but I think it's all a matter of interpretation. You know, if you want someone that just dances around words like most politicians do, then you go for a politician. Someone that's been in the past, has a particular type of history of dodging bullets and taking the safe ground. Well, Donald Trump is not that type of person.
He definitely dodged a couple bullets to the ear.
Yeah.
We got more when we come back. don't go anywhere. You know, we gotta fix your earpiece, because as soon as you start not telling the truth, it popped out. It didn't even want to hear it. The earpiece like, no, forget this. We got more when we come back on True Talks. We live. It's election night coverage.
Yeah, right.
They gotta fix your earpiece. And we are back on a special 2-hour edition of Live Truth Talks, and we're here with Dr. Gordon Roll, who's talking everything MAGA and black supporting Trump.
Dr. Gordon, we had this conversation off of Truth Talks, and you were talking truth. So I want to ask you, right, about the economic agenda unveiled by Kamala Harris's campaign with plans for the small business loans and the legalization of marijuana. Has Trump pushed forward with any policies to specifically help young black men?
Well, of course, the last administration he was involved with, he helped with economic zones, feeding money into the community, worked through several different resources to help channel money to black businesses. And so as Mega Black Georgia, we're going to hold his feet to the fire, make sure that there's some really pronounced programs that he has that will benefit our community.
Now, let me ask you this: you think black men can hold a white man's feet to the fire? Do you think that's even possible?
Well,
and
that's the main purpose of Mega Black. We are galvanizing our minority communities all around the state, not just African Americans, but Hispanic, Asian,
people of color.
People of color all together. So I think when we get that concept that we can collectively work towards, going towards the Trump administration, to the state officials, and tell them, listen, we have a petition with 10,000 votes on it. Of course, if they want to stay in office, they'll listen.
And do you think it deems kind of an identity crisis when black men support a white man who is racist and says it blatantly to our face or to y'all face, and he calls Puerto Rico a trash island, and he says that Mexicans just come here to have babies and can't pull out, and he talks about certain jobs are black jobs, and he wants to get rid of DEI and things of this sort? Do you think that that is an identity crisis where black men could look at a white man and say, I want to support him because he's for me, although he's saying that he's not, and that there's something about this white man that looks nothing like me, doesn't support anything about me that I identify with?
Well, I think, Donald Trump has never been someone that has been known for the king's version of the choice of words. But I think his actions over the years, working with African Americans, have shown something quite different. And so I think that what we want to do is make sure that he has the information needed. He has the voices necessary to put that in his ear, that he needs to have the type of programs that represent our causes and our challenges, in which there are many.
Dr. Moore, you know, my wife is not from the United States. And on day one, Donald Trump has said he wants to do this mass deportation. He's also said that he wants to have, if he moves all these people, which to be as many as 11 million all the way up to 30 million people inside these concentration camps. He wants to put spikes at the top so they can't escape. He wants to put people at the border to shoot people as they try to cross over into the United States from all around the country. This is something that you agree with?
Well, I don't think that it's
He
that
has said
extreme.
this.
But I think that, you know, if you look at United States history,
with putting spikes at the top of concentration
of course I
camps?
don't. But you know what we have now is we have an open gate. I know at my house I have a lock on the door. I don't allow any and everybody to walk to my door because I wouldn't know what I got when they came in there. And as a matter of fact, I don't know the people that are outside my door. So if you use the litmus test of would you do that in your personal life, in your home, in your community, allow any and everybody to come in there unannounced, unorientated?
But I'm not going to shoot them in the driveway.
Well, I don't think we have that particular type of scenario going on unless the people are violent, unless they go around raping and murdering and killing people, innocent citizens out in the streets. Like the way we've had incidents.
It sounds like you're supporting some of Trump's policies, but not all of his policies. Do you understand that when you vote for a candidate, that you're voting for everything they stand for, not just some moving parts?
Well,
so some of those parts are what Ryan is describing.
I beg to differ that his policies are at that extreme. I think what he is trying to do is let people know that have attempted to come or are attempting to come to the United States, and including the cartels, including the terrorist insurgents that are coming to our country, that, you know, you got to beware that when you come here, there's something that you're going to face when you get here.
But including the immigrants that pay taxes, including the immigrants that contribute to our country, including the immigrants who are not committing crimes, so including those,
we have
they
a
need to pack up
process
and
of
go
immigration in this country, and we've continued to have a process of immigration in this country. It has been political in nature because of what type of policy we have with that particular country, but it's always been something that we use as an instrument to measure the amount of people that come into this country and have them go through a vetting process of, okay, this is our rules, this is our laws, this is our Constitution, this is how we judge ourselves, this is how we rule our society. So if you allow anybody to come in, of course they wouldn't have that type of orientation. So it would be a lawless situation.
Do you believe what Trump says, that Mexicans are taking black jobs?
I think
that's
that
what he said.
I think that he speaks. It's someone that is on the go as much as he does. But does he actually have a policy?
Dr. Gordon,
in place?
Do you believe that? Listen, I'm black and Mexican. Yeah. Do you believe that Mexicans are taking black jobs?
I don't know which Mexican you're referring to. Are you referring to Mexicans that are in agriculture?
Do you believe that Mexicans
I don't know.
From Mexico
It's a possibility.
Are taking black jobs?
It's a possibility because
it's a yes or no. What do you think?
Yeah.
So you think Mexicans are taking black jobs?
So because of that,
Mexicans, I'm not talking about me. They're not taking my job.
But they're taking people. But do you have a question?
I think we have a serious problem in our society with education. I think African Americans, for the most part,
you said they're not taking your job. You said
I
you're
have
not
a
taking
lot
of. We're all black on here. Do you identify with all of us on here?
Of course I do.
So if a Mexican takes, based on Trump's, not on me, takes one of our jobs, we're black. Is that taking a job from you and your community, or that's not because we're black, but we're separate? We're separate from black.
The Mexicans, anyone that comes to this country that look for work, they're in competition with everyone else. We have certain laws, federally mandated laws, that everyone has an equal opportunity to those jobs. So we need to have a policy that we can stand up and stand by. You know, we have equal opportunity, but if we have people coming in here that aren't vetted properly, that have questionable past, that possibly could have ties with the mob and everything, bringing drugs and everything to our country, we need to be concerned about that.
So is DEI taking white jobs?
Of course.
Is that a problem with you?
Say that question again.
Are DEI positions taking white jobs?
DEI positions probably are taking all of our jobs, you know, depending on the circumstance.
They're taking black jobs too. It's a
they're
black
taking-
job, Dr.
Well,
Gordon.
well, it just depends. If it's DI, what type of DI are you talking about? You're talking
Diversity,
about
equity,
Yeah,
inclusion.
but is it diversity, equity, inclusion when you're talking about transsexual type of situation?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Dr. Roy, I got to ask you this. Because you passed this message off to so many, they getting you today, Doc. But you doing all right.
all right. That's
Give
right,
us
all
some
right. That's
tissue
right.
here. Lee over here sweating. They on his butt. But no, Dr. Rowe, that's so hard. So look, Dr. Rowe, you can breathe. Take a breath. Just take a little breath, because they on you bad. But I do have to ask you this, man. You know, do you have sons, African American sons?
Of course I do.
Indeed. How do you galvanize a community with such rhetoric? The Bible says the power of life and death is in the tongue.
I think that the rhetoric is somewhat of a wake-up call for all of us.
So when
I
you
don't
wake
think
up-
I don't I
when
think
you
that
wake up and you hear the
I
words.
think that the words is just words. I think they're said, and they might be the words that you
So they're not
interpret. I
just-
don't interpret
they're
them
not
like that.
just
Why do y'all keep making?
I don't
if
interpret them like that.
Hold on.
It's the same. It's the same. It's the same
Doc,
as
let me
if
say this.
you know, you had someone talking about you know, that, oh, let's just let everybody in here. Everybody would have jobs. You know, it doesn't equate. You know, and so you have to say something that has some kind of credible, you know, result to it.
Dr.
And
Rowe,
yes.
you can't believe that. I mean, we do it all the time.
I think what you're talking about basically is
go
the
back to your
propaganda.
agriculture and your
Yeah.
mass deportation question.
Right.
We did it with the Chinese. We invited them over here to do those jobs, and then we changed the law and tried to kick them out. We did it with the Indians and invited them over here to do those jobs, and then we
But
kicked them out.
you said an
And did it
important
again
word.
with the- with the-
Your word was invite.
Yeah, invite it. But then once they come over here and do it, and then you can't kick them out. Like, it's a double standard for what you're saying is going to
then
happen.
Another thing is, you know, of course, we have a certain types of challenges within our society. We've been having challenges since our inception of who we are as a people. And so I think based on how our Constitution is structured, you know, we have a process that when our society comes together, we have to come to one particular level of understanding on how we're going to live in our
But
society
Dr. Rowe, how
together.
can you say that?
When we
how can
start,
you say that when the man who's running for president, who you just said you're supporting, has said, if you vote for me, you will never have to vote again?
Never again.
How can you sit up here and defend that?
Because that's someone for someone that says a lot of things, but you take him out of context. I don't take things what he says to a certain amount of degree that other people do. I think what he's trying to do is present a certain type of scenario for you to think about, not necessarily that what he's going to put as far as
So
a
what
policy.
kind of scenario would that pro for someone to think about? Would that be a dictatorship scenario, or would that
No,
be?
I don't think I think he's quite contrary of that. I think what has been happening over a period of time is what we have is what you call a propaganda. A propaganda is you have a person that you make this mystique out of, and then you draw into certain types of little critique things that are mannerisms or a way of expressing himself, and you create this monster. But I don't think that is what this case is with Donald Trump. I think with Donald Trump, what you have is you have a country that someone that leads this country
Donald
that
Trump, you have a
basically
reality
speaks.
star, but not a
he
monster.
speaks
We
it,
get
he
it.
speaks himself
We got
in
a
a
reality
clear
star, not a
tone
monster.
that people don't basically say, well, what did he say? What did that mean, what he says? He's very clear about what he says, and the policy that he has domestically and international, you know, that dictates that.
Okay, hold that thought just a second. When you got somebody where the entire cabinet, when all 12 of them have signed a letter saying they do not want you to be back in office, what you're saying is just rhetoric and it's just hyperbole. A man with no counsel and no conscience is a very dangerous individual.
Okay.
And if you want to sit up here and say that,
I would say that because the reason why I'm saying that is because Donald Trump is actually, he, you know, has, if you look at his history, he's just come along to be a part of the Republican movement. What he was before was independent. He was a successful businessman. He had his ups and downs,
A
but he
racist landowner.
basically became successful.
Who didn't rent the black people. He didn't rent the black people because he got the money from his father.
What the Republican Party has tried to do with him is tried to mold him and steer him in certain directions, which he had his own
Taking out the
plan.
full-page ad about the Central Park Five and asking for them to have the death
people like
penalty.
myself has joined the party because we believe that he is more independent in his ideology and his thought process.
So are you in this
So he's
1%? Would they have all this money?
I don't think it's 1%.
No, I mean you.
Tonight you'll find out how much a percent it is.
As a doctor, I'm saying, you know, when he's talking about these tax breaks for all these people with all this money, is he talking about you?
No, he's talking about the people who stimulate our economy.
No, I'm talking about you.
He's talking about people like the people that are captains of industries, people that own businesses that employ. I am a person that I understand the economy. I understand that it's about businesses and how they affect our community. We can't just take and take and take from our businesses. That's what feeds our economic engine on how we survive as a people in community. We are not a communistic community.
You see him as a
We are
money
a capitalist.
man that can build social economic in our community.
Exactly.
Indeed. Family, listen, of course you know Bree Renee, straight from the A. She is hanging out with a lot of millennials and Gen Z. We're going to take it to her to hear their thoughts on this conversation.
Thank you, Willie. Like you said, I'm out here in these streets, and thank God, because the way y'all talking in the studio, y'all already know how I feel. But I would like to say thank God, as a cultured, world-traveling black woman, that we don't have other leaders in other countries that feel the way that Trump feels about other people coming to America. But I'm standing here with Isaiah, a young black male Gen Z voter. Did you vote today?
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell me how you feel as a young black man about some of the rhetoric that Trump has spewed about black men?
Well, we all know about Central Park 5 and how he never apologized for that. I think that's enough for me to kind of see, you know, how he feels about us personally. There's a whole "what do you have to lose" thing that he said. Him refusing to condemn white nationalism. Even though the FBI has mentioned white nationalism as being like one of the biggest threats in America, doesn't really pay much attention to it. I think it kind of shows me like how he feels about African Americans. And it really just seems like he just tries to pander to get our vote and then just leave it at that. Personally, I'm not going for it, but that's just me.
And a lot of people say like, oh, he's just talking. He's just like, you know, just trying to get people riled up. Do you feel like this is truly who he is or how he feels, or that, well, like, what do you think about that?
I mean, at the end of the day, like, the guy is a businessman and he knows how to work the crowd 100%. Do I think that, you know, this is him? Only time will tell. No.
All right, well, we're going to keep it real over here, y'all. I got my Gen Zs and millennials in the back. Y'all say hey. We're going to keep coming to keeping it truthful with y'all. Y'all keep talking that truth in the studio. I'm listening. I'm on fire, and I wish I could be there with y'all. All right,
We
back
love
to
you,
y'all.
Bree.
Thank you, Bree. We got more when we come back on True Talks. It's our live coverage on election night, and we live. We got more with Dr. Moore when we come back.
Yes.
Roll.
Sorry. Roll. And we are back on True Talks on election night. We are live for an entire 2-hour show. And we're back with, of course, our MAGA black Trump supporter.
Listen, I want to know if you.
The seat is hot.
If you're such a supporter, why you didn't wear that MAGA hat?
Actually, I gave the MAGA hat away, souvenir. Someone saw it. Can I please? I'll give you $20.
Dr. Gordon, let's keep it real, because when we all went to dinner the other night, what I say? Leave that MAGA hat in the car. Did I not? I said, leave that MAGA hat in the car. But I do have a serious question, right? So as far as Trump, he believes in what? The uprooting of affirmative action, the resistance to teaching black history, right? The national crusade against DEI, a second Trump presidency, which accelerates the backlash tenfold, right? Aren't you concerned about the threat that this poses to black people in our black community? He's taken away everything that our forefathers worked for. He's taken away everything that has catapulted us. He's really taken the foundation of our community just straight up underneath us, to where we have to come out there and figure out, what do we do now And do you believe as a community we're ready to figure that out on our own without allies, without the support of the American people that don't look like us?
I think that ultimately we are going to figure this out. I think he's coming into office with all kind of different issues that are going on in our society. We are very polarized as a people, and I think what his agenda is to have us centrally focused about what are the characteristics, what does it take for us to come together as a society, as so to speak, a American dream, a pluralistic society. But we also have to bear in mind that be mindful and respectful of each other's culture, because that is also the equation in this particular formula that we're working towards.
Willie, do you think?
Dr. I gotta ask you this, man. So what we're saying is, I'm just gonna break it down.
Break it down.
Because, sometimes, I went to the University of Mississippi too, hung out with a whole lot of people who thought different than me. But I wanna say, literally, you have black sons, and what has been proposed is that they're gonna snatch away the opportunity for them to know what happened in the 60s with slavery, and they're gonna take that out. In fact, if you do it, he says, I'll defund the school system, right? And so what you're telling me, and I just want you to give me a yes or no, you're saying that you're okay with that as a black man with black sons.
No, I'm not saying I'm
after
okay with
seeing
that
young man who just told you all the things the way he felt.
I'm not okay with that, and I don't believe that that's what his intention is. I think that
what's the intention when you have that type of rhetoric?
I think that's what it is. It's rhetoric. Whether you interpret it that way, it could be said a different way. I don't think that is what is the agenda. I think as far as being critical of our history, and we should be as a society. But hear me out. But hear me out. We have to be critical of our society, because when we decide to realize what our dreams are and our aspirations, which we have to some certain extent, then we have to be mindful that, okay, we're all in this society together. We're holding this society, we're the fabrics. But if we start thinking about our own and start to seek retribution,
I think that's a great point
that pulls us apart.
That, when you say speaker thinking about his own, that's what this entire campaign has been ran on.
Yeah.
I think it is a smack in the face to speak to a son of a 92-year-old man who was an ex-sharecropper, one step up from a slave, that you're going to erase my father's legacy.
Come on, Willie.
Right?
I don't think he's trying to do that.
No, that's what the rhetoric says.
No, I don't think
what
so.
I would rather you do is say, like all my other Trump fans, I'm about myself, I want my money, and I think this is better for business.
Yes.
I don't care about people.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta say, and I will respect you as a black man if you say, I need to get my paper, and I don't give a damn about the people who may be squatted on.
I think
that's what I just need you to do. And you can just be honest.
If you look at it on the other side,
because you're talking this way. Talk this way, black man.
What you have during the Democratic policies and Democratic Party is a system of keeping us in bondage, keeping us more or less, we're dependent on the government. We're dependent on the government to give us some kind of support. We can create a society where there's a lot of opportunities for ourselves or a lot of dependencies. You have to make that decision whether or not you want to grow up and go off into the world and become a person of your own, or you want to stay up around your mother and be dependent on them. It's just plain and simple.
Dr. Roll, do you believe in free speech, in freedom of speech?
Most definitely.
Okay, so when your candidate says that journalists who refuse to reveal their sources should be put in jail, what do you say to that?
I said he's making a joke. I think that. I think that. Well, to some extent. But what has happened? What has happened? We got to look at what has happened.
Is leadership a joke? Is leadership
no,
a joke?
what I'm saying
is our community a joke?
What have we done?
Is the American people a joke, Dr. Gordon?
Of course, we're not a joke.
So why is
but
he
what I'm
standing
trying
up and telling us jokes?
what I'm trying to say
We're
is
looking for policy, legislation, and leadership and
what
character,
you have
not
found,
a joke.
what he has already established when he was a president was strong policies, internal policies, domestic policies, international policies that we are not. We're definitely going in the opposite direction from what he established. Have I met Donald Trump?
Yes.
No, I have not met.
Okay,
Donald
that's
Trump.
what I want to say. We're going to go ahead. We're going to check
Have you
in
met
with,
Donald Trump?
Why would I want to do something like that? I talk to the devil every day when I say get out of my face. I rebuke you, Satan. I ain't got to meet him. I see him all the time.
I rebuke Satan too. I rebuke.
Well, then you no longer support Donald
same-sex
Trump.
marriages.
But he rebuked Satan.
Do you condone that?
He don't rebuke Chuck.
I want to bring in somebody who wants to talk about this, and we don't want you to go nowhere.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
He is the man behind New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. the one and only Pastor Jamal Bryant is going to join us via Zoom right now. Pastor Bryant, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Pastor Bryant.
Good evening. Good evening. Y'all got to rumble in the jungle. I'm Kofi Annan from the UN. Give us peace.
Pastor Jamal
Glad
Bryant,
to be with you all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
what would you like to say to our guest today when you hear some of the things that he's talking about?
That there's a reason that Harriet Tubman had to carry a gun, because there would be some black people who would try to go back. And that this is a critical moment, a defining moment for where it is that we are, is that so many people are deluded by the magnetism of the masses that they've lost a sense of their own self. And it's not just your guest alone. Look at the Puerto Ricans who have sworn allegiance to Donald Trump, even after he disparaged their country by saying it's garbage in the middle of water. And so, our dear brother, we just got to love you back to wholeness, and hopeful that you will see that this ain't the way, the truth, or the light.
Yeah, and Pastor Jamal Bryant, I just wanted to reintroduce Dr. Gordon Rowley Jr., who is the president of MAGA Blacks for Trump in Georgia, and he is galvanizing groups of black men throughout the entire state to pretty much be in support of Trump. And so obviously you guys are at the different levels of the polarity, and both black men. How do you believe that you can empower, let's say, Dr. Gordon in the group of black men that he has already galvanized and he's already mobilized, without empowering them as black men, but trying to teach them the way, like you just said, about Harriet Tubman and some of those slaves trying to run, without emasculating them for what they truly believe and what they truly value? Where's that balance at?
Yeah, the Bible says people die from a lack of knowledge. And so Donald Trump of himself said he don't even have a plan. He just has a concept. And so I would say to the doctor, when you consider what it is that Willie Moore Jr. brought up on the banning of books, and talk about the policy that they want to defund school systems that teach Black history. He is over for Trump in Georgia. If they burn the books, ban the books, and penalize you for teaching Black history, the million-dollar question I've got to ask the panel: how much longer do you think it would be until King no longer has a holiday? Because to honor King as a holiday, then you've got to teach the rest of why he had the dream, why he had the march, and why it is that he was killed. And so the full scope of who it is that we are is really on the ballot. I believe that there should be some blacks who are Republican that can represent our interests on both sides. But they also got to remember where it is that they come from and what it is that they are really commissioned to do. The soul of this nation is at stake. And I'm hoping that the righteous are going to come out victorious.
So, Pastor Bryant, how dangerous do you think this rhetoric is that Trump is spewing?
I'm now on the other side of 50. So let me say this, Dr. Rowley would remember, is Gary Hart was disqualified from the presidency for taking a picture on a yacht. We can't even list with 10 fingers the atrocities that Donald Trump has said verbally. I'm not even dealing with the lawsuits. I'm not even talking about the bankruptcies, but I'm talking about how it is that he has disrespected war veterans and called them losers. How it is that he has called Africa S-hole countries. I'm talking about how he has made mockery of those who are disabled. I'm talking about how it is that he has said to somebody who spoke against him that they should be in a firing rank. All of those should be disqualifiers because they don't represent decency or humanity. And to reduce that as saying he was just joking, I would remind the panel and the listeners they were just joking when they put blackface on white actors. They were just joking when they were saying that we had to go to the back of the house. They were just joking when they did Gone with the Wind. So everything that is a joke has a layer of seriousness that we cannot take lightly.
Dr. Bryant, I got to ask you this. There has been such a divide in the church, whether it's Souls to the Polls or Christian evangelicals saying that Kamala's a witch, And if you vote this way, then you can't be with Jesus. And so I see this really huge separation between different denominations. What are your thoughts about that, and why is it such a divide?
I am in pain as a pastor. This is the most divided I have seen the church be in my lifetime.
Me too.
And it is around two issues primarily. Number one being abortion or pro-choice versus pro-life and same-sex marriage. I want to remind our listeners that those are not the only two moral qualifiers in the Bible. Is that the moral responsibility is to remember the poor, to take care of the widows, be kind to the immigrants, to also attend to the sick. Even when you deal with the LGBTQ community, love your neighbor as yourself. Don't love the neighbors just that you agree with. Don't love with the neighbors who are just all heterosexual. So even in our disagreement, I have not seen the spirit of grace and the spirit of compassion. So I pray on the other side of this, that this will not continue to be a wedge to the church, but that the church can come together in healing and in wholeness.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with more. We are live. It is election night, and we are, having our guest in the Zoom. We got Bree downstairs, who's talking to the young millennials. So don't go anywhere, man. We got more coming up on True Talks.
Yes.
And we are back, and we are live. We still got about, 50 minutes left in our 2-hour special election night broadcast. We got to go back out to Pastor Jamal Bryant. And Pastor Bryant, I want you to talk about, Project 2025.
Project 2025 is the blueprint for America to do the electric slide backwards. It is the dismantling of Medicare and Medicaid. It is the dismantling of really the same group that says that they're pro-life want to expand the death penalty. They want to raise Social Security when Black people have the lowest life expectancy.
About that if you don't mind.
Please, by all means. And so even for those who claim that this is not a part of Trump, all of the writers said that he co-signed it in cursive. And the first 100 days is really going to be a bleak and a black eye to those who made strides for the civil rights community.
Indeed.
Dr. Rowland?
So Project 2025 is something that was developed by the Heritage Foundation. That's not a part of the Trump organization, the Trump campaign. And so Trump has not endorsed Project 2025. Mm-hmm. And so all the rhetoric that comes from Project 25 is something that is totally responsible for the authors that are part of the Heritage Foundation. And so that association with Trump and his policies is null and void.
Are you familiar with?
It is, if I can interject to that, please, kind sir, is I wanted to remind the good doctor that the Heritage Foundation, upon the announcement of J.D. Vance being vice president, said that he was their pick. And they wanted him to be vice president because he represented everything that they have been working for. As a historical note, the Heritage Foundation came into alignment as an organization after Jimmy Carter was elected because they were afraid that civil rights was going to make too many strides. So the Heritage Foundation, in which, Dr. Rowley, you claim has absolutely nothing to do with the presidency, held a press conference within the hour of J.D. Vance being nominated, saying this is the person that they recommended to be on the ticket. Please speak to that, sir.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that everything the Heritage Foundation does is null and void. They have a lot of credibility. They do have a lot of people with the backgrounds to make sound decisions. But I think on this particular policy, it was done with hastefully. I don't think it was done with any type of consultation with Trump or any advisor of his. And so I think this is
the 900-page document.
900-page document, right?
On page 3, Dr. Rowley, on page 3, the written contributors to that 900-page document, 7 of whom are former Trump staff.
Right, and then, like you said the word former.
Nothing to do
and as we had brought up earlier, Trump had a lot of people on his staff that are
Dr. Rowley.
that were no longer on his staff. And one of the reasons why is because
there is
Trump
no
was
staff, Dr. Rowley. He's not in
following a
office.
certain type of script, just like Obama followed a script. And he got off of that script real early or throughout his administration when he found out that it wasn't going to serve him. Trump is a person that has a mind of his own. However, he's capable of making the particular sound judgments. He doesn't need people to try to lead him in a direction that is something that he doesn't feel comfortable. He doesn't feel is part of the interest of the country. And I believe that. And I trust a leader that can make sound judgments and don't need people around him that are trying to tell them.
I'm glad you said that, Dr. Rowley. That does my heart good.
Yeah.
That makes my heart good that you believe that we have a leader.
And I'm proud that makes my heart good that you think that way.
Does it make your heart good that Jeffrey Epstein said that Donald Trump was his best friend for 10 years?
No, well, whatever you
tell
say,
me that.
you know,
No,
I'm
not
commenting on what you say. And
No,
whatever what happened with Jeffrey
Epstein
Epstein,
it was released in
I think
Time
what we have a
magazine
problem
on
with
Sunday.
is bringing stuff from out of the bedroom. Let's talk about what his policies were. Let's talk about how stable the country
so
has
it is
been.
in Heritage Foundation. Let's deal with policy.
Yeah.
Let's take Jeffrey Epstein out. Let's deal with policy.
Let's
Dr.
deal with
Rowley.
policy.
In policy, he wants to dismantle Obamacare. And let's be mindful that he was in office for 4 years and pledged while he was running the first time he was going to come up with an alternative. We are now coming into a potential second term for this president who still has yet to roll out a plan for health care.
Well, I believe when he is sure that the health plan that he brings out, I don't think that we should change a plan that serves so many people and critical to their health. And Donald Trump is, I don't believe that Donald Trump is going to stop Obamacare without coming up with a plan.
Dr. Gordon, Pastor Bryant, let me ask y'all both a question. Pastor Bryant, you know, it's been said that a lot of black men are actually supporting Donald Trump. Because they look at it as him being a money man. They look at it as he's going to provide an uplift and an advancement socially, economically within our black community. Dr. Gordon is one of them. What do you think about that? Is that rhetoric, or is that something that you believe is true, except him advancing the economic status in our black community comes with an expense too heavy for us to pay? What is your thoughts on that? And then once you give us your take, Dr. Gordon, I'd love to hear your take on it as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the numbers are skewed. They're showing in exit polls that black men are voting for Kamala Harris even above Latino men. That black men only became an issue in the presidential cycle of polling to further divide a wedge with Kamala Harris. Nobody was thinking about black men 4 years ago. It is only now in this instance that becomes an issue. So they raise up people like Dr. Rowley to say that these are the exemplar, and then some rapper to say that this is the sum total of black men, and that's absolutely not true. You've got two black men sitting on either side of you who reflect a different demographic rather than what it is that those few polls are indicating.
Indeed, Dr. Rowe, your
Or
thoughts?
just look at any of the rallies.
I'm sorry.
He said look at a lot of the rallies, but I do have to say, Pastor Bryant, that there are a lot of high-powered A-list celebrity black men. Some are my clients, some are my friends who I know personally, who are actually at the Republican electoral celebration tonight right now. They're literally there now, and these are men who fully support loudly and clearly and stand on Trump being a money man. And so that's why I asked you that question, because it's real. And in our community, there are black men supporting Kamala, obviously, but there's a lot of black men who are high-powered who are supporting Trump.
Right.
High-powered is not necessarily high-conscious.
Yeah.
And I want to make that distinction. Just because they're making a whole lot of money
how would high character
does not mean that they're
be
necessarily
someone that would
influenced.
support an extramarital affair by supporting our local district attorney? You know, and
You're talking about the man who got divorced a million times?
yeah,
Who gonna grab him back?
Fannie Willis, Fannie Willis. I mean, you know,
Dr. Rowe,
Don't do that, Dr.
I think that we
You
have
said
a
stay
lot
out
of
the
debate in
bedroom,
our
Dr.
society.
Go there. Hold on. Dr. Gordon, go
This
there.
what you said. This what you said. Now, when the man of God talked about the Epstein scenario, you said, let's stay out the bedroom.
Right.
Right.
So we can't point the finger at somebody else for
we
what
could
you
stay
believe
out
they
the bedroom
done.
until you start putting the bedroom on the documents that create law and create and force our children to be exposed to obscenity, obsceneness in our classroom,
I agree with you.
well beyond the
Hey,
years.
listen,
So this is what's happening with the Democrat policy. And so that's the obscenity. That's the going out of the bedrooms, keep it in the bedroom, but you're taking what's in the bedroom and you're putting it in the classroom and facing innocent children with that. And I don't
Dr.
see
Rowland,
how
what-
you, Dr. Bryant or Bishop Bryant, Pastor Bryant, would condone that. That to me is ungodly.
Okay, Pastor Brian has a counter to that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a question, Dr. Rowland. What is your doctorate in?
Jaren.
My doctorate is in education. What's your doctorate in?
Philosophy.
Philosophy.
So as a
That's very
doctor of
good. That's very good.
as a doctor of education,
Yes.
sir, tell me how it is that you, as a doctor of education, can see how this is a threat to the educational system to extract Black history from the syllabus.
We're not extracting Black history. What we're doing is extracting a type of Marxist point of view to African American. The Marxist point of view is to say that Black history is something that is a way to extend off into the current era of how we live our lives, and that we are in a society that we cannot live in a united society, in a society that we are living amongst other people of different creeds and colors. So if you are trying to promote a Marxist ideology by infusing Black history because you want to be critical of American society, yeah, that's not quite what education should be all about. Education is about promoting productive citizenship, not destructive citizenship.
Well, first of all, Willie, let me help the good
Do you understand
doctor.
what I'm saying?
No.
I understand. You don't know what you're saying. Marxism is an economic and political theory that is connected to the flaws of capitalism. So for you to say that teaching Black history is Marxism is an incongruent analysis.
Well, I didn't say
that doesn't
teaching
make
Black
any
history
sense.
is Marxism. See,
You
that's what
said
the
it is
problem is.
Marxism.
You are
The
taking what I
problem
say
is
and misconstruing what I say. I did not say
I'm taking
teaching
what you're
Black
saying as
history.
literal.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
I gave too much
Pastor
credit to a
Brian.
doctor of education.
I'm saying that
apologize.
teaching African American history is essential in our education.
You said it was
African
Marxism.
history, well, the way it was taught under the critical race theory.
So do words matter?
The words matter.
Yeah.
Depends on how you use the words. If you use it in a way to unite people, or if you use it in a way to more or less try to bring about a certain type of intellect, enlighten them to think in a certain type of way, then words, all words matter. I'm not saying words don't matter. It's just how you use those words. And so I think that we have a situation where we feel as African Americans, that's who we are here, sitting here talking, that we have had some challenges and continue to have those challenges. But as well as those challenges, we've had a lot of success stories. 100%. And places like where we're living now has it's debatable whether we have more success stories than we have stories that are based on challenge, and we continually,
Dr. Gordon,
to nurture
let me
that.
ask this really quick, because you said where we live now. Some of us still live in the inner city.
Right.
You know, I always say I went from the hood to the hills. I'm in
right.
the hills, but I came from the hood. I came from the inner city.
Exactly.
And so I still have family there. I have friends there. I go back to my community as president of NAACP, and I give back. It's important to me. Trump previously threatened to send the military to the inner cities to fight crime. That means that people in the inner city, military is there to kill. The military is not there to enforce law. So what do you think about that? Is that a threat to our inner city Black and brown minorities who are there trying to build a life?
I think when you send the military off, to create some kind of order and civility. You don't send the military off to create genocide. You send the military to have a law and order situation. We have communities in Atlanta.
Is the military trained to enforce law, or are they trained to go to war? Because when police are trained, when they pull out their pistol, they're trained to shoot at the chest, not at the leg.
That's right.
That's why when they pull out and they shoot, whoever they're shooting out ends up dead.
Right.
Okay. Military is trained to hold on to police and to enforce law, or are they trained to go to war?
Military has
Trump
trained to do a lot of particular type
No,
of
but I'm
taxes,
asking,
and one
I'm
of those,
asking a question.
and that answer to the question
are
is,
they trained to go to
is
war
martial
or
law.
That's war. So when you send military into an inner city where there's already a high level of crime, there's already a level of inferiority, there's already a level of black individuals.
So what do you want from that? Do you want that level of crime to increase, or what are you trying to? What is the result that you want?
So what do y'all want as a Trump administration? You want to go in there? You want to go in there and just light it up? You want to go in there and do a genocide? Hold on, you want to go in there and do Hitler style?
I don't think that's what he's proposing.
And just blow up the whole community because there's crime?
I haven't seen any particular
I want to hear what he has to say.
policy
Let him answer this question.
How does the military organize crime? How does the military protect crime in an inner city where crime is already high?
No, it doesn't protect crime.
So what does it do?
protects people from crime. It protects the grandmothers trying to raise their grandchildren, trying to allow them to go to school and come back home with certain certainty of safeness. It allows the traffic to flow. It allows business to continue to be conducted without the influence of criminals that try to shake down businesses.
Let me ask you a question. Have you traveled to a third world country?
Yes,
like
I have.
Africa, South America, third world India? Have you been to any, just a third world country?
I have been to some other countries.
Okay.
I don't know if they're third world. I don't think they're third world.
So let me say this, Dr. Gordon. When you go to a third world country, if any of us have been there, they're sitting out there with the big machine guns and bazooki.
Right.
There's military that's out there, standing out there.
Right.
As a tourist who comes and travels, I don't feel safe to cross the street.
Right.
I don't feel okay with going to my hotel room and there's a military guard at the front of my hotel. You know what I feel like?
Right.
I feel like I'm in a third world dictator country where it's so bad that there's military standing out here, and what that does is...
And there's a reason behind that, Dr. Bryan.
And there's a reason behind that.
The reason behind that is because you have an unstable government.
Our inner city minority, black and brown families do not need to be war-tact controlled. They need to have resources.
But they don't need to be inundated with drugs and fentanyl that's coming in from unchecked borders, Dr. Bryan.
That's immigrant control. We're talking about inner city.
Immigrant control. Of course, we have towns up and down. Brownsville, Texas.
That's immigration
This is in
reform.
Texas, right?
So listen, real quick, I got to put a time out on it because literally we're running out of time. I gotta just literally talk to Pastor Bryant. Given that this election is unique, in 2025, what does it look like for Donald Trump to be president in 2025?
We don't even have a precedent of what it will look like.
Of course we do.
It is a threat to the Constitution. It's a threat to democracy. He has said in open mic, not open for interpretation, this will be the last time people will have to vote. And so I am very unnerved about what America will look like in about 90 days.
Dr. Rowe.
I'd like to respond on that.
I want to ask you this. If Donald Trump loses and Kamala Harris is the president of the United States, will you support her policies? And what happens to Black MAGA? Because there is no more. There is no There is no more Black MAGA.
Yes, there is.
Because
who?
Yes, there is.
What happens? What happens next?
Well, Black MAGA will go. Black MAGA is at the present. We're trying to establish think tanks within the community of the state of Georgia on how to have a community that's based on equality, that's based on empowerment. So we have representation, we're representing ourselves, have that empowerment to represent ourselves, that we're building businesses, and most important, we're gathering a coalition of people that have our similar experience so we can represent ourselves properly when one of us go to Congress, one of us might want to run for
funding
president.
super PACs is what you're saying.
If that's what the name of it is.
That that's what it is.
Yeah, of course.
Dr. Rowe, we really appreciate you being a
appreciate
part of this
you allowing me to
conversation.
speak to you.
They got on you, but I appreciate you holding it up to the best of your ability.
That's why I got a doctor's degree.
Dr. Rowe, we love you even though we got on you.
They got on you.
All right.
We're still friends, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
of
look,
course.
Dr. Bryant, I got to talk to you. Final thoughts. You know, we're going into one of the most amazing times of our life, or probably one of the most critical times of our life. Any final thoughts to the American people?
I hope that America will be united whichever way the election goes. I pray that the church will unite, and I pray that we'll be able to move beyond this moment, no matter who wins. What I am excited about is that Black America is focusing more on policies than personality. We are maturing as an electorate, and I think it's going to change the landscape of politics in America.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Bryan, for being a part of this amazing conversation. Again, thank you, Dr. Gordon. We appreciate you being a part of this conversation. Family, we don't want you to go anywhere. Stick around. More Truth Talks when we come back. Flat out.
More drilling of Dr. Gordon.
No, he got to go. He got to go.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all had dinner. How'd that happen?
You don't start with
How
me,
y'all
Ryan.
have dinner? You said y'all had dinner. What the hell?
We was talking.
Nope.
Well, you know,
we was
when
debating.
you're a doctor, you have your privileges.
Come on.
Oh,
Like that.
doctor with privileges, oh.
Well, I mean,
tell you
it
what.
doesn't. It didn't come.
And you're watching a special edition of Truth Talks. I don't know how, you're sitting in that seat because it should be smoking right now.
On fire.
We want to thank you for tuning into our live coverage as we wait for more results of this historic election. And, Bree Renee is out in the community doing what she always does. She's got people that she's talking to. So, let's go check in and see what she's got going on.
Hey, Bree.
Hey, Ryan, thank you for tossing to me. Of course, I'm out here still downtown Atlanta in the heart of the city with my millennials and Gen Zs. We turned up at Thrive. Ain't that right, y'all? Y'all, we having us a good time down here. We just chit-chatting and getting to know each other and talking all things politics. So I'm here with my girl, Drea. And Drea, she is a beautiful Black woman that's also happens to be Gen Z. So I have to ask you, do you feel like voting should be mandatory?
I think voting should be mandatory because regardless if you vote or not, someone is going to win. So I think you should educate yourself on all the candidates and make an educated vote.
Okay. Do you feel like maybe they should pay citizens to vote? If so, why or why not?
I say no. I think you live in this country, so why not vote? I think it's your right. You should exercise it. We don't need any money to be monetized off of it.
I like that. Now, how do you feel about them always talking about we don't go out, like millennials and Gen Zs, we don't care, we don't go out and vote? Like, what you think?
I think that's not true. I think we are going to the polls. I think we just want to see change. But in order to see change, I do feel we need to do our local voting and not just worry so much about the presidential votes.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like maybe in future elections, even like you said, local, that the voting should be online, make it easier for people? Why or why not?
I say it'll be a good thing to have online voting so people don't have to leave their house. You could do it from the comfort of your own home or wherever you are. But I think technology is so iffy. I think that'll just give them more reason to say they didn't receive the votes.
You're right. And all these hackers, girl, and AI, they'd be like, the votes was fake, The studio is lit. I think they actually want to ask a question.
Yeah, Bree. So I got to ask you this. You seen the banter going back and forth with Dr. Rowe, Jamal Bryant, as the millennial and Gen Zs, they're sitting there, they're watching this. What was the reaction and response that you all had?
So we definitely are tuned in. I think the craziest reaction was with the guy from the MAGA. What was his name? I'm sorry.
Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Gordon.
Yeah.
Gordon, yes. I was literally standing right here with another young Black man that, like I said, he is a millennial and a Gen Z, and he was like, what does he mean? This is just rhetoric. Like, he's saying this stuff, like, we have to believe that this is how he really feels. So I think that we're kind of supporting. We tuned in, so we like, okay, yeah, when y'all talking that real truth, we with you. But then I felt like we were kind of like, y'all, he wasn't keeping it 100 right there. And I really like Ryan and Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, how you guys doubled down on him and was like, are you part of the 1%? Yeah. No, but how do you feel? Y'all were really holding that fire. And I think that's what gets us as millennials and Gen Zs riled up, because we want to see these people not only say how they feel, but really be put to the fire. Like, we want to know why you really feel that way, or how do you feel like it's really going to affect us, our generation, and especially us as Blacks.
That's good, Bree. We appreciate you. Bree, I just got to ask you this. Do they still listen to the pastor? Was he received with millennials and Gen Z?
Yeah, how do you guys feel? Do y'all still listen to religious leaders when it comes to voting? Yes or no? It's mixed here. So
That's
we got
good.
some that say yes, they do, and some that say no. So I think we got a lot of free thinkers here. Everybody's like, they're going off of what is important to them or what they resonate with the most. So some of us who are more on the religious side or spiritual side are like, okay, yeah, I do take that into consideration. And a lot of people are really strictly talking policies and how it affects them.
No, that's good. That's so good. Bree, you doing one amazing job. We appreciate you.
I'm having so much fun, y'all. I wish I was there with y'all in the studio, but back to y'all.
Indeed. So, Ryan, would you give us some stats on what it looks like with this?
Yeah, I mean, with the magic number being 270, right now it is Kamala Harris with 99 and Donald Trump with 178.
Oh, wow.
With 270 being that's who's going to be the next president of the United States.
That's a big gap.
West Coast, though. I mean, California's 54 by itself, right?
Yeah.
So when the West Coast starts rolling in, those numbers are going to change.
What about Arizona?
Yeah. Arizona's a big one.
Right.
Big one. It's red. Yeah, wow. So go ahead, Ryan.
Well, when you were sitting out there and you was watching...
Woo. First of all, my sons started texting me, and they're like, look, they liked you, Mom, because they are putting him through it. I said, thank God. I did appreciate you all holding him accountable in so many ways, and also me. I mean, but y'all gave it to him.
And I want to ask you, Cicely, because I feel big about a lot of stuff. I'm just passionate about everything I feel, right?
I feel it.
What do you think about the military coming into our inner cities with our black and brown families and trying to take this military control?
Yeah.
For me, I feel like military is trained to kill.
Yeah.
That's a war zone. And I also look at police brutality in the sense that when they are taught to shoot, they're taught to shoot to kill. They're not taught to shoot to stop.
That's right.
And I've had this conversation, this debate of, the officer pulls out, they're not trying to stop.
That's right.
And so my thing is like military going into an inner city, to me that sounds like a fear-based tactic.
Yeah.
To me that sounds like modern-day slavery.
Yeah, so it's so fascinating you say that because we do think about the history of policing being slave patrols, right? So if you really know the truth about people being caught as enslaved or enslaved ancestors, that's really that's the history of what this nation was built upon. And there hasn't been a whole lot of institutional structural change to reform that system, and which is why we say reform is not enough. If someone created this system to abolish the lives of black people, then we can imagine a better way. And I have traveled internationally. I've done mission work in Kenya. I've done mission work in India. I was in Hyderabad.
Do you see them with those big old machine guns?
And I do not feel safe. I do not
Keyword,
feel safe.
do not feel safe.
That's
it's
right.
not. It's there
That's
to protect
right.
us. We know that we're in a third world country.
That's right.
This country's not third world, but I'm with you. I don't feel safe when
That's
I come
right.
to third world countries. I'm like, I remember
That's
my
right.
first time I was 19. I'm like, what the is going on here?
Yes, and in 2020, when we started to see militaristic style weapons being used on our black communities, tanks being run down the streets, it's like, what is going on?
Cicely, I got to ask you this. Looking at those numbers, seeing that deficit, of course, California is 50 plus votes, but of course, Arizona is traditionally a red state. Let's say that we didn't think it was going to happen this soon. Donald Trump becomes president, and we understand how dangerous this man is.
Yeah.
What do we do as a culture to think optimistically on how we navigate? Because here's the thing, as we talked about international policy, I just left El Salvador in August, and I had the opportunity to sit down with children whose parents were swooped up by the government if they had anything to do with a gang 10 years prior. They could be pastors, deacons, businessmen, reform their life, but if they had an inkling of a thought that you were a part of a gang and they brought the military in, of course it killed all the crime in the gangs, but so many fathers were taken away from the home who were no longer affiliated with that type of stuff. Like, what do we do with this guy who says, I'm going to bring the military into Bankhead, into Berkeley, Missouri, into South Philly, and say, listen, just because of what you guys are doing, we think it's too dangerous to police you traditionally, but we're going to bring in the military to make sure that we don't police, that we kill.
You were saying
we don't police, you kill.
We kill. I mean, and you were saying it before. I mean, he's telling us what he is going to do. Not masking it, not saying anything secret about it, literally giving us the playbook about what's about to happen. And that's why we say democracy is on the ballot, right? We can leave no power on the table. It's important that we raise our voice and ensure that the right people are in office that actually do care about our communities. That's real. Democracy is like a muscle. If we don't use it, we will lose it, right? Right? You can't be complacent and sit here and allow your democracy to be sacrificed because you may not necessarily love the candidates. I say, don't vote for a candidate because you love them. Vote because you love us. Because you love our communities, because you love yourself and your family, your people. We're not looking for the perfect candidate. We're looking to be safe.
Cicely, I'm gonna steal one of Dr. B's lines when she's talking about running the play. The play that Donald Trump has obviously run has been on fear. and
Yes.
it's obviously working.
Yes.
And we're hoping that there will be a great fourth quarter comeback. But when you see such a big lead where we're already, 178 to 90, it is the message that once mainstream America got into that polling booth, once they got in there with nobody around them, were they saying that they were not ready for a black woman president?
I got 5. First, I love saying run the play. I got a D1 son,
Come on, girl,
a
run the
football
play.
player, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a football mama. I love this lingo. It's quite legit. I got 5 texts this morning from women before 8 a.m. 2 white women, 3 black women, gay, straight, activist, political mindset, nonprofit folks. And one of them, I'll quote her, Asha Bandeli, as best as I can. She said, "Black women, through their leadership and love, have crossed over oceans and fields that were meant to be our graveyards." That's what she texted me this morning, right? And so we recognize, however, that black women have led us through, even if there are doubts about black women's ability to lead, right? And so I don't believe that when it is you, your heart, your future, you thinking about your mama and your grandmama, right? Whether the oldest surviving member of Tulsa, the Tulsa massacre, did you see, voted today at 110 years old?
And she had the T-shirt on.
Viola.
That said that they used to have to pay
The poll
vote.
tax.
Oh, she brought me. I was so emotional
That's
hearing
right.
her.
That's right.
She changed my vote. It's a joke. It's a joke. I was very. I had already voted, but
Think about it. Viola
She not
Ford
playing.
Fletcher is her name. I want to say her name. Viola
Say her
Ford
name.
Fletcher, over 100 years old, survivor of the Tulsa
no, and
massacre.
she was absolutely amazing.
Right? So that's who I think they're going to be voting for.
Yeah.
Okay, we got more when we come back. All right, True Talks is live. It's our election night coverage, so don't go anywhere. We got more. We got more.
Right here.
Got more questions, more conversation when we come back. And we are back on True Talks, and we got to give it up for Bree Renee. I mean, she's been down there at Thrive, and we got to check in with her one last time because she's been, on the pulse of the city and seeing what's going on. Bree, what's going on out there one last time?
What's going on, Bree?
Thank you, Ryan. I'm so excited. I'm still down here at Thrive Atlanta Restaurant and Bar, and we lit with my Jizzy and Millennia. I'm having so much fun with them, and I love that we're able to share their perspectives and their views on this election. So I gotta have 2 men here, and I've gotta ask both of you guys: do y'all really think that every vote counts?
Most definitely, absolutely. Your vote definitely counts. If you're undecided, that's okay. You have a right not to vote. However, it is critical in this election cycle now, where you can seemingly realize that your vote does count. And our generation has shown that, and we're showing up in numbers, as you can see.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, every vote does count. And I think especially aside from the presidential election, when you look down ballot and you look at some of those local races, like your mayor, your county people, that really matters. And really every vote does count in that instance for sure. So absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you two are guys, obviously. So I got to ask y'all, how do y'all feel about possibly having a female and a black female at that as president?
I am elated. I am glad. Look, I'm ready for Kamala Harris to be elected president, for the first woman and a black woman at that to be elected president of the United States. This will literally change the whole dynamic of what we've seen in the history of America.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're overdue. I mean, when you look at every other Western nation, they've had female leaders, great female leaders, and I think it's time that the United States gives itself that opportunity. So yeah.
I love that. You see, my millennials, my Gen Zs, we show up tonight. Not only were they educated, they were fired up. They were ready to, state their opinions and root for who they want to win. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in with us down here at Thrive Atlanta. We're going to say good night to y'all. We're going to continue to party just without y'all. Say good night, y'all.
Bree, listen, Bree, you are killing it, Bree, and you're right, the millennials are also killing it. I'm gonna give it to y'all. I know I was ripping y'all one of the last episodes, but you millennials are doing your thing.
I said, and the Gen Zs, they even younger, and they really showed up, Dr. B.
I love
they
y'all.
Showed up and
I
showed
love y'all.
out.
I love y'all.
Give it up for Bree, yeah.
Thank y'all.
And we want to thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your thoughts. It's very important that you, like you said, you reset the Black Lives Matter movement. I think you made some very valid points, and we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen.
Thank you for allowing me to come on and tell our truth.
Yeah, and keep being a boy mom.
Yeah.
I look forward to that. So I'm just going to live through you, keep being a boy mom. And I want to ask you, what is your prediction? Who you think's going to take this?
Woo, again, we are nonpartisan.
Stick to the script.
Stick to the script.
Right,
But
right.
what do
No,
you,
that's true.
what do you personally as a person
the
think?
organization is not part of it. I say often, may I confess, y'all don't mess with my sis. I am wearing this blue for a reason.
Hey.
Very, very, very clear about that.
That's good. That's good. So as a mother of black sons, if it goes the other way, what do we tell our sons? Because I'm a
Ooh, that's so
father
good.
of 3 black sons.
Whew, don't give up. Don't give up. There's a reason that they want to suppress your vote. There's a reason that they're trying to keep you quiet. Let's use these bricks to build bigger stages and bigger podiums and bigger platforms. You deserve to be here. You deserve love, you deserve hope, you deserve compassion, you deserve care, not to be locked up in a cage. And there are people who are here for you and fighting for you every day. I'm going to fight harder for my black sons and yours.
And we tell our black daughters, if Kamala doesn't get in, that does not mean that you don't have a chance to do what you need to do.
It's your turn.
Because listen, little sis, do it. You could be the main one to make it happen. So it's not over for you, regardless of what happens tonight.
And we got more when we come back. Of course, we'll give you some more updated results. And of course, go to YouTube. Put the comments. How you feel about us going live for 2 hours? Oh no, I mean we doing pretty good. What y'all think? We got more when we come back. It's True Talks. We live on election night. And we're back on True Talks. The latest numbers: Trump 188, Kamala Harris at 99 with the magic number 270 when it comes to the electoral college.
Your shana, oh.
Dr. Roll was in your shot now?
Hell no. Not at all. I know this, honestly, it's really not a laughing matter to see the country really show who they are. You know what I mean? I think I told you guys a couple weeks back, my thought and my prediction was that there were going to be a lot of silent Trumpers and that he would somehow pull this election off. And if I could just be very honest, open, and just transparent, as I went into that booth, I thought to myself, there are a lot of things on this side that I do not agree with.
Right.
You know, everything from, I could have been on a napkin, you know what I mean? Or I could have been aborted. My mama made the choice, right, to make sure that I had the opportunity to live. They were pushing her to go get an abortion, and every time she would just say, it's just too late.
Right.
I come from a neighborhood where we made jokes about if she get pregnant, we got to go across that bridge, cuz, to Illinois, pay $600. If you 18, you ain't got to bring your mama. This is what we do, but we didn't think about children. So there were a lot of things that I did not agree with this administration. However,
wait, with which one? With what administration? Just so that the people are clear.
With Kamala Harris's
got it.
administration, it was an issue. But then when I thought about if I only focus on economics with this particular party because of his kind of opportunities that he get with money, if you would. Of course, he went bankrupt on many occasions. Then I forget about people. So when I seen Dr. Rowe, I'm just like, don't give me a whole lot of jive. Don't give me all that. Just be honest about it. Man, you want to protect your money. You want to protect your businesses. I'm a business owner, and traditionally I do better when it's a red party in the presidency.
Right.
But I care more about people. Taxes mean that I'm going to spend a little bit more to make sure people who are a lot less fortunate get the opportunity to live as well. So.
Wait, Willie, I'm sorry, but you didn't say, be honest about it. You said you talk in circles. I need you to talk like this.
Yeah,
I said, ooh.
What that do to you? What that do to you?
You know what? My shana. I say my shana.
No,
in a good way.
No, here's the thing. When it comes to men like that, see, I grew up with a 92-year-old daddy who was an army man. You stand on what you believe in. I appreciate Trump supporters. They're on my text message right now. Too big to rig. They going at it. They've been the same way the whole time, but it was basically all about economics and what they thought they could say.
Yeah, Trump's
not
the
the
man.
Craziness that we like. Well, he don't talk like this, that, and the other. No, people say what they mean.
It's a joke. That's what I mean. When he was saying stuff like that, I think the thing that scares me the most about this, if Donald Trump is going to pull this off, is that some of the things that we have been talking about for so many years with, the Happy Birthday with Stevie Wonder and Dr. King and all those things, at the same way that they pulled those Confederate statues down, right? In a world where a man like this, who doesn't really care, who can say after the insurrection, there were good people on both sides. What is going to stop somebody from gathering up a whole bunch of bulldozers and a whole bunch of other things and trying to topple the King statue. What's going to happen? These are the type of things that are possible because this man is not standing for one thing or another. He's just saying, and if you got J.D. Vance out there who's putting the battery in his back, who's done the ultimate flip, because again, if this happens where Trump can't run again, then J.D. Vance is the heir apparent with more of this rhetoric and the things that he's saying. I'm afraid of the people just being out there and just being as wild as possible with no control whatsoever. When you're saying just let the police do their job, and obviously we're hoping for the big surprise and a big shift, but this is a very bad message for the country.
No, it is, Ryan. One of the big things that bothers me a lot, y'all know I rip Kamala, but I think Trump is just a freaking clown. But what really bothers me is that that qualified immunity. Y'all don't understand how important that is. That holds law enforcement.
Just explain that again for people who may not.
So qualified immunity holds police officers accountable. Qualified immunity, when they have it, and they have it now, means they can break the law, they can create police brutality, they can use excessive force, they can even kill a person, and they are not going to be penalized, or they're not going to be legally criminalized for that crime. They still get to, if they do get fired, they get to go to a different jurisdiction and get hired somewhere else. And when they retire, they still get their pension. Qualified immunity is something that we need to get rid of. Not because we want to put police officers in jail, because we want to hold them accountable so that they have something to think about that says, if I pull my gun out and kill this man right here, black, brown, white, whatever color he is, this is a human, I know that not only am I losing my job, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Qualified immunity is so important. And the fact that Trump said, I will not get rid of it. He wants to enforce it, which means he's saying he wants to enforce police brutality, excessive force. That's crazy to me.
What are we saying when we see somebody who's been, convicted of 34 counts, who's, the first president potentially to run as a convicted felon, who has all these assault, these sexual charges against him? Is America so forgiving of the white politician that nothing can stop him from going into office? There's no accountability whatsoever.
The crazy thing is that you can't vote as a felon in any state but Florida. So Trump made sure that he was obviously registered in Florida so he can vote and run. Because even as a felon, again, you can't even vote as a felon for a felon who is running for office. So what sense does that even make?
So let's hypothetically, if we're being honest, with this type of deficit, he becomes the next president. I think my vow to you, the Truth Talk listener, is that you're gonna have a safe place where you're gonna get it straight, no chaser. It's not gonna have this big overlying message to kind of make you feel good. We want you to have the truth in a way that you can digest. And that's why you gotta continue to listen here, because we're gonna be informative, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna disagree, but at the end of the day, here is a show. We vow to make sure that you get a safe space to hear real truth talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things why we decided to all sign on this show. Because, for a lot of people, let's be real, they are talking in sound bites, and you can almost see them thinking in their head before they answer because they're worried about the backlash and what social media is going to say. And I think that we all are independent in our thinking, that we know, we're just going to say how we feel. But let's go back to the fact that, Donald Trump at this age, what about his cognitive abilities? Somebody who has the football and the keys to nuclear energy and nuclear power and nuclear bombs, because we're saying this as he's gotten older, he's not the same Donald Trump from 2016. He's a totally different individual. So are these abilities going to lessen his ability to govern?
I personally don't think it's going to lessen his ability to govern. I feel like Biden, to me, had more of a health deficit than Trump. I'm just being honest.
Well, that's why they removed him.
They removed him. I don't think Trump's at the level of needing to be removed. I think the bigger issue is the fact that he's coming off as a ruler, and he has this dictatorship, and he's saying, look, we're just going to put military people in different cities, and I'm going to just draw this plan out the way it is. And so you don't have a right to vote. You don't have a right to think. You don't have a right to exercise any rights, from civil rights to DEI to affirmative action. You're talking about somebody who's taken us back 60, 70 years,
that's true,
right? Of what we are not, well, we didn't just work hard for it, but we're still working. Even if you're not a part of an NAACP or Black Lives Matters, as a black person, you're still working toward that contribution.
Yeah, at 82 years old, my mom's 82 years old. I think she has some great stories, but I will not want her to be running for anybody's office. At 79, the truth is we don't know what happens next, but we may be stuck under J.D. Vance if the inevitable happens.
Yeah, my grandfather was like 72. And when he became like 73, he didn't care what you said.
Yeah.
He didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care what what you're talking about. The numbers have not changed. Again, it's still Trump 188, Harris 99. So as more votes come in, final predictions as we go around the room. Willie, your final prediction, what you think?
Indeed, I've been honest ever since I got here, man. I still believe that Trump is going to be our president. The question becomes, what do we do as a people to make sure that we're able to still thrive under that administration?
All I have to say is we ain't got the West Coast votes in yet. We haven't got their numbers in. The West Coast, we know, holds a heavy amount of numbers. I mean, but it looks like Trump's going to take it. But we know how election happens, right? Sometimes we end up having a neck-to-neck tie, and then we get to Thursday, Friday, and we have a whole different president.
Well, I'll say this. The Atlanta Falcons led at halftime 28-3. There's still another half left, baby. You never know what can happen. I'm just saying.
You were there,
and I was there. I saw it happen in real time. So thank you for joining us on True Talks, man. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, man.